AI will create more millionaires in the next 5 years than almost any industry we have seen in the last 30 years. And it's not only about AI companies or the people investing into them, it's also entrepreneurs, business owners, huge companies using AI to expand their businesses, increase sales, improve customer service, and become more efficient. But for us as investors, there's another massive opportunity. The industry that AI needs to keep growing. Energy, we already covered. But today we're going to talk about quantum computing. AI needs massive, but massive computing power. But even today's most powerful computers have their limits. And quantum computers approach certain complex problems in a complete different way and could solve optimization, simulation, and data problems that traditional computers struggle with. And as AI becomes more powerful and more complex, quantum computing could be one of the technologies that helps push AI to the next level. So first I'm going to give you a quick and simple explanation of quantum computing, and then we are going to look at the most important companies in the sector, and of course we are jump into the charts, guys. Let me explain real quick what quantum computing is. A normal computer works with bits, zeros and ones. Quantum computers use qubits, which allows them to process certain extremely complex problems in a complete different way. And for specific problems, we are not talking about being 10 or 20% faster. We are talking about calculations that could take traditional computers thousands or even millions of years, potentially being solved in hours or minutes. Think about that for a moment. That's crazy. For AI, this could become especially interesting for optimization, like I told you, simulations, and solving complex problems where traditional computers eventually reach their limits. Okay, let's take a look at the companies and let's go to the chart, guys. Well, guys, right now we are at the chart, and let's start with company number one, IONQ. IONQ. So IONQ is probably one of the most well-known pure-play quantum computing companies on the market. The company uses trapped ion technology, basically using individual atoms as qubits, and their focus is on building highly accurate and scalable quantum computers. And IonQ is also pushing heavily into quantum computing networking and wants to build much bigger quantum platform. So, and what's very, very nice to see is that, or nice to see is that BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, and Vanguard alone holding over 19% of the shares. So, if BlackRock and Vanguard is involved, you guys know what I'm talking about. And we've seen the chart. It's a little freak show over here. If you go a little bit back here, end of 2024, they came from nothing. And then quantum computing together with AI came on the screen. And they already proved that they have potential. And we have the all-time highs around 84.50, $84.50. Right now it's dipping a little bit again. So very, very important. If you buy a quantum computing company, it's not an investment for 3, 4 months. It's a long-term investment. Right now, we are pretty short, pretty good price right now. We at the VPOC volume point of control. That's a good price, but so we have even more space. And if I see here a possibility of a turnaround to get into the market, like out of a correction, I'm gonna buy it. That's a really, really nice stock, but keep in mind it's for long term. You have really, really big potential. And the 84.50 we have already seen. If we would buy right now and wait long enough, so we would make at least 100% up here or more. So let's go to the next one to the second company, number two, RGTI, Rigetti Computing. And Rigetti takes a totally different approach and builds quantum computers using superconducting qubits. And the interesting part is that Rigetti develops almost the entire technology stack in-house by themselves, from the quantum chips to the actual quantum computing systems. And their focus is speed and scaling the technology to much larger quantum systems. And as always, guys, BlackRock and Vanguard holding over 16.5% of all shares. And just talk about those two specifically. That means something, you know what I mean. So right now we see the chart, and like every quantum computing company until the end of 2024, they were pretty much worthless, and then they made a big move and struggle a bit. And then they had a breakout over here in September 25. That was after Trump or the USA made a deal with Saudi Arabia. And then they pushed way too high. So this price over here, 58, was not justified, was just the hype, the news. So then it dropped again. But it's a great company. And it's, in my opinion, one of that companies that gonna survive and gonna make a lot of money in the future. So for me, it's a big take to here over here holding Rigetti Computing. So I'm not locked in right now, but I'm holding already Rigetti Computing. And yeah, we are right now pretty close to a very important support level, the $12.40 level, and always the VPOC, the volume point of control, that's 1125 right below. So over here, I'm looking for a correction because I'm always in. You can look for a correction and let it push to the next level, 28, and then up to the 50 eight and even more on the long run. And like always, guys, it's a company for a long-term investment. You buy it and you're gonna hold it for 1, 2, or even 3 years. It's gonna push up for sure if you are patient, guys. So I already told it's speculative and volatile. You can see it's volatile. So that's a company you have to hold for the long run. So let's dive into the next company, QUBT. Gonna open it right now, QUBT. So that's a little bit more freak show of the chart. We can see it all over here. So let's talk about QBT, Quantum Computing Incorporated. So this company is especially interesting because they focus heavily on photonics, basically using light to process information. And their technology is designed to operate at room temperature with relatively low power consumption, which could become a massive advantage if they manage to scale it. You know, normally all the servers have to be cooled down, but room temperature, that would be pretty nice. So, and recently the company has also been pushing its photonic technology directly into AI applications. So it's a pretty hot stock. It's still extremely volatile, like I said. And like we see right now, BlackRock and Vanguard, as always, holding here over 15% of the shares. So they have the fingers in here too. So believe me, they don't buy a company if they don't believe in it, even holding such a big amount percentage of the stock. So but the chart looks a little bit freaky over here in the end of November 2024, like every quantum computing company, pretty worthless. But then they made the first push, dropped down again, next push, correction, next push. But we have a pretty interesting level over here. Hold on. Oh no, that's my fault. Give me a second, guys. So we have a pretty interesting resistance level over here at $22. So that's a pretty nice resistance level, by the way. And yeah, right before we have the $25 level. So, but that will be a pretty interesting resisting level, but there's a long way up there again. So right now it's pretty difficult to predict where to buy. I would personally say that we have a strong support down here at a $6 level. And for me, it's a pretty strong support level. But like I said, it's a company you buy for long term. So, but it's a pretty interesting company, like I told you. Well, guys, right now we are at the last company, number 4, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum. So I have four on my list that's very important, the four biggest ones and or in relation. And yeah, D-Wave is a little bit different from the other companies because their main strength is quantum annealing. So without making it too complicated, quantum annealing is designed to solve extremely complex optimization problems. We talked before about optimizations. So think logistics, scheduling, supply chain, or finding the best solution out of millions of different possibilities. That's what D-Wave Quantum is doing. And this is exactly where quantum computing could become extremely interesting for AI. And in this company, as always, BlackRock and Vanguard alone holding over 17% of the shares. Surprise, surprise. Let's take a look at the chart right now. This one is a little bit nicer, and as always, in the end of 2024, they were worthless pretty much, and then they kept rising up and up with steady uptrend. A little bit overhyped here in October 2025 until 46.50, more or less. Then they dropped a little bit, and right now they're struggling a little bit. I see extreme strong support over here at $13.3. So I don't think that we're gonna drop into the volume point of control again, which would be the next one over here at 1760. So this is a pretty strong support. If you see a correction here and coming out of correction, that's a good buy, D-Wave Quantum Computing. And as always, the minimum target here is not this target here at 31. The minimum target is the latest all-time highs at 46.50 and then pushing above it. And like I said, with every AI quantum computing company, it's a long-term investment. If you don't just want investment for 3, 4 months, it's not your investment. It's like having in your portfolio long term. You don't need to have every investment for a few months. You can have also some investments for long term or have a separate portfolio for long term investments. And this one is a big one. D-Wave Quantum. I like them a lot. So right now we are finished with the chart. The chart in all quantum computing companies, a little bit freak show, but yeah, that's how it is, guys. Let's go back to the video. So, what's my conclusion here? Quantum computing is a still very young industry. And let's be clear, these companies are highly speculative and extremely volatile. But that's also why I'm watching this sector so closely. Because if AI continues to grow as I expect, we will need more energy and more computing power and a complete new technologies to solve increasingly complex problems. And quantum computing could become one of those technologies. Now, does it mean that all four of these companies will be massive winners? Absolutely not, even with high probabilities. But my job as an investor is not to wait until everybody already knows who the winner is. My job is to identify important trends early, find the strongest companies, and then wait for the right opportunity. Because remember, guys, the biggest opportunities usually don't look obvious in the beginning. They become obvious after everybody else already made their money. Guys, see you in the next video. Peace out. Sascha.